Hello and welcome to Stock Music Licensing. My name is Daniel Carrizales from stockmusiclicensing.com. Now today I want to share with you a quick tip that I use. I've been using this actually technique for some time now, and what I do is that I actually, earlier on in the composition process of my stock music, what I do is I convert any MIDI part into audio. If you notice here in this session, everything is audio. And the reason why is because that makes me commit earlier on in the composition, when I'm composing the music, actually, it makes me commit to a certain MIDI part and just print it to audio really and create an audio file or an audio channel and actually just move on. So I don't get stuck in that process of actually rearranging the MIDI part or the adding some more MIDI sections or more automation or whatever. So here, for example, the piano part is a perfect example. This used to be a MIDI part. Just a classic MIDI chord progression with some changes around here. So that's a MIDI part that I've converted to audio, and I have some strings as well here. Very basic MIDI strings, some cellos as well. Now, the reason why I convert my MIDI parts into audio is because I like to process audio, and that's just the way I like to treat my compositions and the signal. I know that there is a school of thought that you actually can EQ and compress MIDI. I like to print the actual MIDI part and convert it in audio, and I like to treat the audio signal. I like to EQ audio, in other words, and compress an audio part. But as well, I do it as a strategic move, so I'm not overthinking about that MIDI part and get stuck in that overthinking of changing and always adding something to that MIDI part, you know. And I just like to commit earlier on. For example, as well, I have the bass. The bass line is a combination of me playing the bass and an actual bass program, and that's just to create a certain tone for this particular track. So the bass used to be two parts, one MIDI and one played, and I like to treat everything as just really audio, man. And that's just a really quick technique that I implemented earlier on in my career, just to actually speed up the composition process. So once I come up with a MIDI part, I just print it to audio and move on, so I don't overthink about it. And I actually delete the MIDI channel. I don't save it or hide it anywhere. It's just to prevent me going back and rearrange the MIDI part or section of this particular composition. So that's just a quick tip. And this mix has nothing really, have an EQ or I don't have any compression. It's just really a static mix, and I will be covering a little bit more about that in future videos. It's just pretty much volumes up and down and some panning, and I don't have anything else in this mix really. Just all the parts really. So at this stage it's there's nothing on the master bus either, so it's just pretty much the audio sections of this particular composition. It will sound something like this. So it's just a rough mix really. It's not something that is being processed at all. This is at an early stage of the mixing process really. So everything audio. I just commit everything that I have MIDI, and mind you, I don't use a lot of MIDI programming either. I just in this case, in this particular track, will be the bass, the kick, and the snare. But I have a lot of guitars, and I have the strings as well, which used to be MIDI, and some effects here as well. It's a mix of symbols and effects that just gives a little bit of a ear candy for the transitions. So that's the way I like to do it. It's just a quick technique of I just like to work with audio. I don't like to. I only use MIDI for the composition process earlier on in that process, and then I just print it to audio because I like to have an audio file whenever possible, and like I said, this just speeds up my decision making. I just compose in MIDI, and if I like it and I'm happy with it, I just move on, print it to audio, and that prevents me from going back to that MIDI part and go back to rearrange and a never-ending process. So that's the tip of today. Leave in the comment section how do you work, what's your technique, and what's your process when it comes down to writing in composing with MIDI. If you do EQ your MIDI and compress your MIDI, I mean, I've done both, and I feel more comfortable working with audio myself. And that's just a quick tip of the day. Again, thanks a lot for the love and support. Thanks for sharing, for subscribing, and as always, rock and roll, and here's to your success.